Have you ever wondered how the Constitution manages to include so many detailed provisions without making the main text excessively complicated? Imagine if every list, table, or administrative detail was written directly inside the articles. The Constitution would become extremely cluttered and difficult to read. Welcome to PS Choudhary. Before we move ahead, let us quickly recall what we studied in the previous lecture. In the previous video, we discussed the preamble of the Indian Constitution. We learned that the preamble acts as the introduction to the Constitution and explains who gave the Constitution, what kind of nation India is, and what values the Constitution seeks to achieve. We also examined the meaning of important words such as sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, and republic. We saw that the preamble promises justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity to all citizens. We also discussed an important constitutional question. The Supreme Court in the Kesavananda Bharati case of 1973 confirmed that the preamble is a part of the Constitution and forms part of its basic structure. Now the next topic is something that often appears in UPSC examinations. That is the schedules of the Constitution. Let us understand what schedules are. Schedules are like appendices attached to the Constitution. They contain lists, tables, and detailed provisions that support the main articles of the Constitution. Instead of placing these lengthy details inside the articles themselves, the Constitution places them in separate schedules. Each schedule is linked to specific articles and deals with a particular subject. Now let us understand the schedules one by one. The first schedule deals with the names of the states and union territories of India and their territorial boundaries. It is linked to Article 1 and Article 4 of the Constitution. Whenever a new state is created or the boundaries of a state are changed under Article 3, the first schedule is also updated to reflect those changes. Now let us move to the second schedule. The second schedule deals with the salaries and allowances of important constitutional authorities. This includes the President, the Vice President, governors, the Speaker of the Lok Sabha, the Chairman of the Rajya Sabha, judges of the Supreme Court and High Courts, and the Controller and Auditor General. These salaries are charged to the Consolidated Fund of India. Next comes the third schedule. The third schedule contains the forms of oaths and affirmations taken by important constitutional office holders. For example, the oath taken by the President, the Vice President, ministers, members of Parliament, and judges of the Supreme Court and High Courts is specified in this schedule. Now let us move to the fourth schedule. The fourth schedule deals with the allocation of seats in the Rajya Sabha. It specifies how many seats each state and union territory receives in the upper house of Parliament. The maximum strength of the Rajya Sabha is 250 members, out of which 238 are elected representatives and 12 are nominated by the President. Now let us understand the fifth schedule. The fifth schedule deals with the administration of scheduled areas and the welfare of scheduled tribes. It applies to tribal areas in states other than those in the Northeast. It also provides for the creation of tribal advisory councils to advise the government on matters related to tribal welfare. Now let us move to the sixth schedule. The sixth schedule deals specifically with tribal areas in the northeastern states. It applies to certain regions of Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, and Mizoram. These areas are given special administrative arrangements through autonomous district councils. These councils have powers to make laws on certain local matters such as land, forests, and customary laws. Now let us move to the seventh schedule. This is one of the most important schedules in the Constitution. The seventh schedule contains the three legislative lists that divide powers between the Union and the states. The Union list includes subjects on which only Parliament can make laws. The state list includes subjects on which only state legislatures can legislate. The concurrent list includes subjects on which both Parliament and the state legislatures can make laws. This schedule is closely linked with Article 246 of the Constitution. Now let us move to the eighth schedule. The eighth schedule deals with the official languages recognized by the Constitution. Originally, the Constitution recognized 14 languages. Today, there are 22 languages in this schedule. The 92nd Constitutional Amendment in 2003 added 4 languages: Bodo, Dogri, Maithili, and Santhali. Now let us move to the ninth schedule. The 9th schedule contained certain laws that were placed beyond the scope of judicial review with respect to fundamental rights. This schedule was introduced by the first constitutional amendment in 1951. The purpose was to protect land reform laws from being challenged in courts. However, this protection is not absolute anymore. In the I.R. Coelho case of 2007, the Supreme Court ruled that laws placed in the 9th schedule after the 24th of April 1973 can still be challenged if they violate the basic structure of the Constitution. Now let us move to the 10th schedule. The 10th schedule deals with the anti-defection law. It provides for the disqualification of members of Parliament and state legislatures if they defect from their political parties. This schedule was added through the 52nd Constitutional Amendment in 1985. The decision on disqualification is taken by the Speaker or Chairman of the respective House. The Supreme Court later clarified in the Cahoto-Holohan case of 1992 that the Speaker's decision can be reviewed by the courts. Now let us move to the 11th schedule. The 11th schedule deals with the powers and responsibilities of Panchayati Raj institutions. It lists 29 subjects that can be assigned to panchayats. This schedule was added through the 73rd Constitutional Amendment in 1992, which strengthened local self-government in rural areas. Finally, we come to the 12th schedule. The 12th schedule deals with the powers and functions of municipalities and other urban local bodies. It contains 18 subjects related to urban governance. This schedule was added through the 74th Constitutional Amendment in 1992. Now remember a few very important facts for UPSC. The 9th schedule was introduced through the First Amendment in 1951. The 10th schedule dealing with anti-defection was added through the 52nd Amendment in 1985. The 11th schedule related to panchayats was added through the 73rd Amendment in 1992. And the 12th schedule related to municipalities was added through the 74th Amendment in 1992. Also remember the difference between the 5th and 6th schedules. The 5th schedule deals with scheduled areas across India except the northeast. The 6th schedule specifically applies to tribal areas in certain northeastern states. Now let us quickly revise the key ideas. First, schedules are appendices to the Constitution that contain detailed lists and provisions connected to specific articles. Second, the Constitution currently has 12 schedules covering subjects such as states and territories, salaries of constitutional authorities, legislative lists, languages, tribal administration, anti-defection rules, and local self-government. And finally, certain schedules such as the 7th schedule, the 9th schedule, and the 10th schedule are particularly important for UPSC examinations. In the next lecture, we will move forward and discuss recent constitutional developments and current affairs related to the Constitution between 2023 and 2025.